There's a big top in my backyard, lion tamer dressed in blue, alligator dancing a tango, but I'm still looking for you. A clown with a gun says, look out son, you better run, learn to duck. I'll see you in New Orleans, goodbye and good luck. There's a rough wind shaking the branches, I can't believe what I hear. A man in the woods is delivering the goods and howling like King Lear. I run out, try and capture the flames right where the lightning struck. I'll see you in New Orleans, brother, goodbye and good luck. Trying to remember the words we said, they would have made a perfect rhyme. Now I'm going nowhere on a midnight 10. I'm trying to stop time. I'm resigned to go out for a line every time I go up. I'll see you in New Orleans, goodbye and good luck. Face the show ahead, staring in a dressing room mirror. Melody stopped and a curtain dropped and the spotlight disappeared. The circus left town when a flame went out and the whole world's run amok. I'll see you in New Orleans, goodbye and good luck. I'll see you in New Orleans, goodbye and good luck. I'll see you in New Orleans, goodbye and good luck. Love you, Tom. You know.
So the first time I saw you play was somewhere around like, must have been 2017, 2018, kind of around the time that Stuffy Schmidt started playing around town. Is that right?
Possibly. We moved here, I just checked because I was just talking to somebody at the East Side Ball and it hit me. It's been 8 years because it's 2025. We moved here in 2017.
So that adds up. 2017,
which
2018.
Which is a long time, man. Like, I thought it was 5 years ago, but it's like, 8 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So
and
that's totally possible.
Yeah. And you play in an Anna's band?
We have a band. It's, as a husband and wife duo, and we have a band, and, we have sort of our guys and girls who play with us, and we perform and record as a duo when we go on the road. So lately, actually, we've been doing a lot more of that.
As a duo?
As a duo, because, playing gigs on the road is a little bit more, not necessarily more fun, but it's more of a work thing,
Yeah.
It can actually pay a little bit, and
it's expensive to bring the more musicians.
You know how it goes. You can't really do it, and I can't just ask the guys to. No one's going to do that. No. Not the guys I want, anyway. So even around town, we started playing more as a duo because I started to have a bit of a strange thing in my head because we play with a band here and it sounds great and I love it, and then we go there and all of a sudden bass and drums and lead instrument are gone and we all have to rearrange. Both her and I have to rearrange how we approach each songs. So we kind of on this for now. We're just doing things duo because we want to do gigs on the road as
Absolutely.
much as possible. It makes more sense.
Yeah.
But luckily I get to play still in a couple of bands and get my rocks off, you know?
Yeah, you have, is it the Blue Light Specials?
Blue Light Specials is a fun band with but bandmates from Manana and a bunch of other bands and a bunch of guys that I've done recording with. Charlie Chamberlain on lead guitar, vocals, and Daniel Seymour, and a drummer that I haven't worked with before, but I love him, Lawrence Nemitz. He is a fantastic guy and fantastic drummer and writer as well. So it's kind of like four of us sing songs and write songs, and we just have the songs that didn't get played. So we're just doing it together. And
That's awesome.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
And you do quite a bit of songwriting work, yeah?
I like to do it. Yeah. I in my mind, even when I was a kid, I wanted to come to Nashville to be a songwriter, co-writer.
Yeah.
Which I got to do quite a bit. And I'm still doing it. I'm a little more selective now.
Sure.
As the time went on. But I like to write a song, but I also want to see it recorded and go somewhere. So sometimes you end up writing so many, and it's just like, they don't go anywhere.
I forget
which is part of the deal. But
I forget who it was, but I think it might have been Brian Wright was recently playing a song, and he said like, "Oh, I co-wrote this with Irakli."
No, I wish.
Okay.
I love Brian Wright. He's one of my absolute favorite writers, guitar players. There you go. I just saw him a couple of days ago. We haven't gotten together to write, although I can see that happening. I would love for that to happen.
It was someone in that similar
Afton,
vein. Maybe Afton.
Yeah, Afton I wrote a couple of songs with, and he had a single out that recently.
Maybe
that's probably it. Because it was probably the same gig, same night. Because
Yeah. So let's talk about guitar stuff, because you're a very interesting guitar player. Do you think of yourself as a blues player, a rock player? Like where does your specific sound come from? Because it's different.
This is really interesting to me too, because I never thought of myself as a guitar player until fairly recently, when I started getting into it as a sort of guitar player. I just thought guitar was sort of a tool that I had around when I was because it's easier to carry around than piano. Know? So it's and I never paid attention to it because I never thought I was any good or I could be any good. Because I was surrounded with really, really magnificent players in New York. I could still play. But recently I started getting into it more as a guitar player and looking for sounds and tones and just paying attention to things that a guitar player such as yourself does. And I'm finding it endlessly fascinating, and I'm just loving the adventure.
Awesome.
But at the end of the day, I'm a rhythm guitar player. My heroes were, Keith Richards, Pete Townsend, brilliant guitar players. But in a way, I sometimes wish, I would have gotten into Jimmy Page or Eddie Van Halen or someone like that, or my chops would have been better. But it never really appealed so much to me as much as the sound of music and the song.
Yeah.
So I always thought to myself, as long as we create this sound as a group in the studio or live, I'm here to hold down the chords. I know the tone. I'm going to get the tone, and I'm going to just sort of be part of the group. But now, which still is my favorite thing. That's why I think I still get gigs in town, because, there's amazing guitar players everywhere. But I'm just sort of a team player in that sense.
Yeah, it's so important to be able to serve the song. I think that's, we're surrounded by guitar players with incredible chops, incredible abilities.
Unbelievable.
I mean, just otherworldly
everywhere,
Yet as you get higher and higher up in chops, the amount of your ability to serve the song can go down. It's not always the case, but it can be.
Funny you say that, because today, actually, I was thinking that same thing as I was practicing, because I was thinking, for example, I never paid attention to scales, which sounds ridiculous to somebody, because I'm not a trained guitar player,
Sure.
But I learned it by chords,
Okay.
so I know what the chord is. So what are my, 3 safe notes in the chord that I can do if I'm improvising, and then maybe I can add, to make it 7th or 6th or
Oh wow! So
something.
you're an arpeggio player, basically.
Yeah, maybe or maybe not. I find them. I know my notes on the
Yeah.
obviously. So, and to make it more sort of interesting,
Yeah.
so that I'm not just playing 3 notes, but I know where my safe notes are. If
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
jamming, right? But I never thought about scales, and I. Because it's important. It's good to know about scales.
Oh yeah.
Obviously.
They do good things.
Yeah, but the more I got into it, the more I found myself noodling.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, I figured this out. Like, I could just go anywhere. I could and what am I doing?
Yeah.
So, and
What does this have to do with what we were doing?
Right.
Yeah.
And I, one of the guys that I love very much, in fact, he was the first guitar player that I saw on the first night when I moved to Nashville, was Guthrie Trapp.
Okay.
Fantastic, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought I'd never play guitar again. I'm like, if this is the first guy, I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
First guy I'm seeing on the first night in Nashville, and then I looked him up online, and I saw his lessons and things, and that's one thing he was talking about, and I felt a little validated, because he talked about how important it is to know, sort of follow the chords rather than just play the scale.
Oh, yeah.
And it sort of makes you play less, in a sense, you're not going to just go off. You're a
little bit more honed in when you're thinking arpeggios rather than scales.
You're making choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're making choices, and that's there's a lot of challenge in that as well, obviously.
Yeah.
But the whole pentatonic thing, there are a lot of sort of people who start out and they just, I can play the blues. I'm like, no, man, like you just.
There's more to it, man.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
George Harrison was my guy,
I can see
He
that in
still
your
is my
playing.
guy.
I can see that in your playing.
I
Absolutely.
like to, if I'm playing a solo and composing something, I think about melody and simplicity and something like that.
Yeah, a few months ago, I spent a couple of weeks really kind of obsessing on that song, Something.
I am. Are you?
I always.
Yeah, so me too.
Yeah.
Always.
That's one of those tunes that you can transcribe every note, and it all makes good, perfect sense. But the more you listen to it, you're like, this is really great.
The solo is flawless.
It's beautiful, right? And it's one of those things that the more you listen to it and the more you analyze, the more magic there is to it, which is usually the opposite.
It's general. I mean, with Beatles, it's like that for me, because I was thinking the other day, because Beatles were my first love. It's just one of those things that just blows you away when you're 14 years old. You hear it and you're like, oh my God, what did just happen? My entire world has changed.
Yeah.
But at that age, you're just sort of taking in the music and the vibe, and you're not thinking. But later, you explore other musics and everything.
Yeah.
And now that I've been listening to it again, I come back, I listen to it with a different ears, and I'm catching all these details, and I love them even more than I did. They're blowing me away even
crazy?
more.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's very special. I don't care what anybody says. The Beatles are otherworldly, man.
Yeah.
I'm
a child of the 90s, and for some reason, it might just it was Massachusetts, and everybody's a fucking wise guy. But
I was in Massachusetts in the 90s, yeah.
Okay, all right. What I grew up hearing from musicians who were all around my age was Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, it's all just overrated. It's all whatever, blah, 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 which is absurd, obviously.
Yeah, it's absurd.
My mom liked the Beatles, so I think part of my teenage rebellion was, the Beatles suck, whatever. And, as soon as I was an adult, the Beatles really started to, penetrate me pretty deeply.
Yeah.
But it's not until the last probably 7-8 years that I really kind of went back to Jimi Hendrix and realized like you're saying, all these subtleties about the way he plays guitar were lost on me as a teenager, because when I was a teenager, I wanted to be Eddie Van Halen. I wanted to be Dimebag Darrell. I wanted to be, one of these super shredders that, I wasn't clued in to the nuances of somebody like Jimi Hendrix. I wasn't able to hear it.
Nuances of see, I haven't even thought of that, because I never went into the Dimebag Barrel and stuff. I love Pantera because they swing.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I like when music swings and heavy metal. But Hendrix, Machine Gun.
Yeah.
That is just, whoa.
Yeah.
To this day, I don't even dare to listen to it, because it's too much almost now, because it sounds as powerful as it ever has. And I think people, you said people say that it's overrated or something.
Yeah.
I think they're just afraid to face it.
I think that's exactly true.
People talk shit about Bob Dylan as a songwriter, you know?
He can't sing. Who cares?
What are you even talking about?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, pal. Face it. It's
You're not making
sun.
any sense.
It's very bright, but face it. Put on some sunglasses.
Yeah. Actually, a couple weeks ago, I transcribed Manic Depression.
Oh.
It's one of those songs that I think exactly what you're saying was happening to me. That is the song on Are You Experienced that I would always be like, nah, let's just skip it. Yeah. I think it was so powerful that I was just not in a place to hear it.
It's too powerful. It's very powerful.
And just the brilliance involved in that song. He's playing in 3, the things he's singing over, the melody, all of it, the lyrics. It is such a good and powerful piece of music. And his solo is fucking bonkers.
My friend Dave Immergluck, who plays with Counting Crows and a bunch of other great bands, is a fantastic guitar player. He said to me a long time ago, he's like, there comes a day where every guitar player has to face up to Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
And it's a frightening thing.
It sucks.
And, you just have to do it.
Yeah.
And it's humbling, maybe humiliating, but it's also inspiring.
Yeah.
Because you take a little bit of that, something, just a passion,
and then you have to look at the legacy of it and say, he was 23 when this was recorded.
That's
to have that power and that facility and that ability to communicate through music at 23, 24, that is otherworldly. That's insane.
Yeah, when I said so sad, I meant that he passed away at 27. Because I think, he was just getting going. His last records, Band of Gypsies thing, that's my favorite, and
it's wild.
I guess I can talk about Hendrix. I didn't expect to talk about Hendrix, but we're guitar players, so
yeah. I think I don't know, like you're saying, at some point as a guitar player, you have to own up to damn, that guy was probably the best.
He was.
Yeah.
If for that short period of time, it's unbelievable.
Sure.
If I had to look at the whole career, and I don't believe in being somebody calling the best, but the guy over the whole long career is Jeff Beck.
Yeah.
He's just unbelievable as well. Just the precise and tones and precision and
his influence. Jeff Beck's influence went so far.
Yeah. Brian May's another guy who just completely blows me away because he's so diverse and just such a recognizable sound, and he's just such a likable guy and
he's
amazing
an
songwriter.
Astrophysicist on top
an
of
amazing
it,
songwriter and everything. So those are kind of my rock guitar.
Absolutely.
Guys. Yeah.
Now, what about songwriting? You said you're friends with the guy from the Counting Crows?
I'm friends with
Man.
A lot of people in New York. Was a lot of fun to hang out in and play
What years
music.
were you in New York?
I was there for about 20, 25 years, something like that. So we moved here in 2017. So from 98 or 97, I was permanently in New York, yeah.
That's funny. I was talking with Megan Palmer last night.
Megan, yeah.
And we're talking and realizing our entire we overlapped. We lived in New York the same exact years,
Okay.
and we didn't know each other.
We
Or maybe we
probably
knew
hung
of
out
each other.
in Rockwood or Living Room or all those places.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
a
I
lot.
played Rockwood. I played Bitter End a bunch, pianos a bunch, all
Yeah.
that. Yeah. But there's so many cliques in New York. It's not the
It was.
It's
yeah.
not the small town vibe like we have in Nashville. Our music community it's big, but it's a small town
Yeah.
feel here.
Oh, definitely compared to New York. But
Yeah.
wherever I was, it felt like a kind of, I guess it's a clique, but but it was a great community. I really enjoyed it, and I got to know a lot of great players, you know. And I
Cool.
was very much learning and observing, like Jim Campolongo and
Yeah.
you know Teddy Campbell, those guys, and they're still playing out there, and it's beautiful, just amazing players.
Jim is amazing.
Jim's, oh my God. You know, first time hearing Jim, like, I was hanging out with Chris Barron from Spin Doctors at Rockwood. We were sitting and we were just saying, like, listening to Jim, and we were saying, like, you know, I most of the time I can listen to a guitar player and hear it, and I'm like, I know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And with Jim, it was like, I have no idea what this guy's doing. Like, what is he doing?
At the beginning,
And it's amazing.
so often at the beginning of one of his phrases, it's like, all right, this guy's just playing the blues.
Yeah.
And then it wanders off, and you're like, wait.
Like,
what planet are we on?
What, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic.
Yeah.
New York. And we had those Monday nights at Rockwood, you know, Jim and Teddy those guys would play back to back. And it was just like, come on, man, you know? Yeah, and there were a lot of great songwriters. James Maddock, I don't know if you know that guy.
I don't think I do.
Fantastic guitar player, singer, songwriter. He was the first musician, and he's one of my best friends. I absolutely can say that. And he was the first sort of real musician I met.
Okay.
And by that I mean, you know, not just because he was signed to Columbia Records and he had the, you know, song on TV and stuff, but when I saw him play in this little bar where all our friends used to come and play all night at the Three of Cups Lounge, he just picked up a guitar and just started playing, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like Dylan or Springsteen or, you know, something. And then he started doing Chuck Berry and Muddy Waters things. And I'm like, I never met anyone like that. I was in my early 20s, you know?
Yeah.
And I was just so over the moon because I just thought these people existed in magazines and on TV, you know?
Or that there must be some sort of fakery to it, right? That like there must be some sort of smoke and mirrors that makes it seem like people somewhere might be this good. But the first time you really see it in person,
it was really fantastic
Yeah.
feeling. And then, you know, we became great friends, and he sort of became my mentor in songwriting
Cool.
and music, introduced me to a lot of music, and we're great friends to this day. He was in Nashville just a couple of months ago. We did a gig at the East Side, and then we went down to Clarksdale, Mississippi, and we played there, and it was just great honor and great fun. But he was like the first guy, you know, like, you know, when that happens in your life. It happened very late in my life. Usually, you would hope that it happens to you when you're 15, 16, something like that. Happened very late, and I was like, oh, this is like where it's at. Like, this exists in reality. It's not just on TV screens.
Yeah.
I can learn from this guy. And then we ended up being in bands together and stuff. So
That's
it's
cool.
fantastic, man. Fantastic. I'm very grateful, you know, to God or universe or whatever for that. Yeah.
I don't think it's interesting because I had a couple really influential teachers to me in my teenage years, but I've heard a lot of people say stuff like that where they're like, oh yeah, you know, one of my teachers, then we ended up in a band together. Like, I don't think it wasn't until my 30s that I started being musically involved with people that were previously just heroes to me.
It's an incredible feeling.
Yeah.
And it continued here in Nashville for me.
Yeah.
When we did the record with David Olney, because you mentioned songwriting, and that was just kind of unbelievable because when we moved to Nashville, you know, we were staying at my friend Steph's place in the Porter Porter Road, and Vinyl Tap, which was old Family Wash, right around the corner.
Was it Family Wash when you moved here? Or was
No,
it already...
it was already Vinyl Tap.
Okay.
So I didn't have a car because we just moved here. I was going to buy a car, but I didn't have a car. So the only place I could walk to was Vinyl Tap. So I would just, walk over there because it was right there. And I went there, and David Olney was playing, but I didn't know it was David Olney. It was just a guy who was playing amazing songs. And I asked, who is this guy, And they're like, this is David Olney. He's a legend. And I said, well, he's unbelievable. I was like, some people were like, oh, he makes me nervous. I'm like, okay, well, leave that up to me. And I just went up to him and I was like, hey, man, like, I think the song you just played is like, we just started talking. Because after living in New York, I didn't have that. I wasn't shy about approaching somebody and striking up a conversation. I'm glad I wasn't, because we got along really great. And then we ended up writing songs together and doing this album, which ended up his posthumous album, Whispers in Sighs. And I'm very proud of that work. And it's like you're working with a guy that, may not be world famous, but you just absolutely admire his songwriting. And he's blowing your mind. And each time you're in a room, you're like, I can't believe I'm working with this guy. I'm learning so much. This is so exciting. Yeah. And that continued in a way in Nashville with meeting people like yourself or many others, It's a great place to be.
Yeah, our last episode was with Darren Bradbury. Yeah. And we had this great conversation, and we always do, the music after we have the conversation. And we had this great conversation, and then he plays a couple songs I'd never heard before. And everything we had talked about over this, we probably talked for an hour and 15 minutes, and it was all just incorporated into these two-minute songs. All of this philosophy he had dropped on us, and, beautiful prosaic speaking, and then you hear the songs, and you're like, yeah, those two-minute songs embodied this entire philosophy that he had talked about. And I don't know. I don't think I had as good of a New York experience as some people did. I didn't meet a lot of heroic songwriters, I felt, in New York, the way I've met here.
Well, the concentration is definitely bigger
we got
here.
It here.
Yeah. In New York, I think I was just lucky to be in the right place at the right time. Yeah. I wondered, I was heartbroken and lost in late 1999, and I just it was 4 a.m, and I wandered into this bar that looked inviting, like downstairs, called 3 of Cups Lounge, and then there was this beautiful blonde bartender named Kim, and we were just best friends to this day. And I was just like, this is where I belong. Yeah. It just felt really great, you know? And I little by little made friends with everybody and started inviting my friends. And it turned into this like open mic kind of thing that would start at midnight and go till 5, 6 in the morning, every Sunday night. Cool. I mean, Sunday night is not exactly like most people's best night to stay out all night. But and I had jobs, but I made sure I was there every Sunday night, and I'd go to work on Monday out of my mind. But I had to do it because everybody would show up there. Like amazing players, singers, songwriters, and a lot of freaks, and it was just incredible run of meeting. 10 years about the last did, and I learned really sort of the ropes of hanging out and working and playing and jamming with people who were much, much better than me. Sure. At the time, and well, still are, but like real heroes. Yeah. Ian Hunter, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like I was hanging out there with Ian Hunter from Mud the Hoople. Like weird, Yeah.
That was one of the things about New York, is that everybody had that mindset of like, Well, yeah. Sometimes you have to stay up till 5 a.m. on
Absolutely,
Sunday
you have
night.
to, yeah.
Like sometimes you have to.
Yeah.
And that's just how that works. That's how this city works.
Yeah. At the time, we had the strength and mojo to.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't do it now, but
When I lived in New York, I did some stand up for a while, which was real
Really?
fun. Yeah, I don't think I wasn't any good, but it was fun. It was fun.
Tell me more about it, because I'm fascinated by it.
Me too. Stand up. I actually.
It's the hardest art form there is.
Yeah.
I think.
And it's the only thing on earth I love more than music is stand up.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't talk about
This
it
is
too
why we're doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I didn't know about you.
So one night there's this place in was it Williamsburg? I think it was technically Williamsburg. It's called the Brooklyn Ale House.
Okay.
And it was right by Muggs. Yeah, I guess that technically must have been Williamsburg. And they invited me to do a stand-up show there one night. And I did like a 30, 35 minute set, something like that. And it
35 minutes of stand-up?
Yeah.
That, in terms of music, that's equivalent to 6 hours.
Yeah. And I did good that night. I kind of killed that night. And it was the first time the bartender was like, all right, like, everybody get out, everybody get out, everybody get out. It's 4 a.m, everybody get out. And it's like, all right, you, and you sit at the bar. And it was the first night I got to be part of one of those, like,
After hours.
we're going to close the curtains. We're all going to drink till 10 a.m. And then
Yeah.
you're going to stumble out among the 9-to-5ers
Right.
drunk as shit.
Yeah.
And I loved that about New York.
That's fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had a couple of those experiences. Well, tell me more about stand-up, man.
Oh, man. Stand-up's always been my favorite thing on earth.
It's so frightening.
It's brutal.
Because, at least we have a guitar or a band, and, I'm not much of a singer, but I could always do something.
Yeah.
Do.
There's nothing quieter than people not laughing at your
It's
jokes.
horrible.
Yeah.
I had friends who were doing that, and I'd go, and my heart would just ache for a lot of them. I'm like, why are you doing this?
Why are you doing this to yourself?
Yeah.
I started out in a little open mic scene in Manhattan and Chinatown and Lower East Side. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I was doing really good in Manhattan. Like, kind of like this little bit of a highbrow crowd trying to tell like highbrow smarty pants jokes. And yeah, I did that for like 3 years until I was doing 10-minute sets, 15-minute sets, 20-minute sets. And it was super, super fun. And then towards the end of my time in New York, I got invited to do like kind of the show of a lifetime. It was in Astoria. And all the other comedians had been on Conan, they'd been on The Daily Show, they were all big players. And I was kind of the new guy getting the big shot. And it was about 500 people. Unbelievable. They gave me the sweetheart slot right in the middle. And oh my God. I was supposed to do 35 minutes.
35 minutes of stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Who does that?
We were all doing 30.
That's so much.
It was all 30 to 40-minute sets. I was supposed to do somewhere between 30 and 40. I got through about 4.
4 minutes.
About 4 minutes. And I just died a horrible, horrible death. Like,
I'm sorry. That's
fine. It was great. It was awesome. No regrets.
Good death.
Yeah. It was just like,
Did the resurrection follow?
it's that time it's like that time you see the incredible musician for the first time. Like this was not a Manhattan crowd. This was a working class Queens crowd. They didn't want anything to do with smarty pants humor. They wanted poop and dick jokes, and you better have them, right? And I didn't have any poop or dick jokes. All my jokes were conceptual, and I was trying to be like Bill Hicks. I was trying to be, elevated in my humor.
Bill Hicks. I mean, that's the guy. Isn't
Yeah,
he?
right? I was trying to do something like that. And of course, if I had been very skilled like someone like Bill Hicks, I would have killed. But I wasn't. I was still very young at this game.
It's interesting because now, like, I'm thinking that's a lot like being on the road when you're playing gig and you have your set. You think,
Yeah.
like, for example, me and Anana doing a set, and
Yeah.
then you end up somewhere. So you better have the backlog. It's like, it's time to bust out You're Cheating Hard, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like the Blues Brothers, you know, let's do Stand By a Woman.
Yeah.
Stand By a Man.
Yeah, if you're in freaking Iowa City and your set is bombing, you better know how to play Sweet Home Alabama and get the crowd back.
Right, yeah.
And that was the equivalent. I didn't know how to play the
equivalent of that.
yeah. And
you gotta have all the tricks in your
man,
takes time, man.
I got out on stage and my first couple jokes got a couple of laughs, I got good laughs for the first couple jokes, and then it just started petering out. And then I was like, oh, this guy at the front table's got a stupid mustache. I'm going to make fun of his mustache. And I got like a couple laughs off that. And then went back into my material, and it was just death.
It's
Just
so hard, man.
Absolute silence.
You know, I take my hat off to you for even trying that, man. Because to me, that is literally what my nightmares are made of. Like,
It was a whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a very brave man.
No, I was just stupid and having fun.
What's
Yeah.
the difference?
Yeah, really, huh? But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like that's a forever story, you know. I should have done the Norm Macdonald thing and just been like, yeah, I don't care if you're not laughing. I'm gonna do my whole set. But as I kept going, and it was just dead, absolute silence.
I mean, I'm just like, because I've never done this, I'm literally drawing the parallels with playing music. It's like, am I going to stick to my set, or am I going to bust out a cover?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
is this time to do, as you say, Sweet Home Alabama? Or is it like, am I going to try to sing our intellectual song to you?
Yeah.
It's a tough choice. It's a
Yeah.
tough choice either, but wow, stand-up comedy, man.
That's why I try to bring it into the Type 5 Tuesday thing, because
Now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're doing this.
as the comedy scene in Nashville expands, I think our culture expands. Like, we're getting to be this cooler, more metropolitan city, you know?
Well, comedy is okay. Like, the word clown has become to be something like derogatory, you know.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
call it politicians, certain politicians, they refer to them as clown, and it's like almost as an insult. And I take that as an insult because I think clown is a very important person, you know.
Yeah.
A very important job, and throughout history was
The court jester.
Court jester
Yeah.
or commedia dell'arte, they have very important role, like Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton, you know.
Yeah.
And they don't just bullshit; they tell you actually the truth. They just make it funny. You're laughing about it, but you know you better go home and think about what the clown said, because it's gonna fucking terrify you, you know, because he's speaking the truth.
Absolutely.
And that's what the real comedians and, you know, so-called clowns are for, really,
Yeah.
you know. So it's also makes sense that it would have a sort of comeback, not necessarily comeback. I don't think it went, but to have it at 5 spot, and
Yeah.
it'd be great to have that, because the times that we're living in, it makes perfect sense.
Oh, yeah, really.
You know, like I was a German studies major by, it's a whole another story, accident in college, you know, and my final paper, or whatever you call it, thesis, was on the cabaret culture in the Weimar Republic right before Hitler.
Yeah.
So it's in that movie as well, Cabaret, you know.
Yeah.
And all those guys, that was the gig, you know. They were just, it was a social commentary while being funny and fun and entertaining, but they were dead serious. It was like punk rock, you know, in a sense. So it's very, very important to have that, and to have for somebody to be doing this right, you know. Yeah,
and we, as time goes on, I think we get
not just poop and dick jokes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we have so many really smart comedians down. There's plenty of poop and dick jokes too, and
nothing wrong with poop and dick
No
jokes.
if you're in Queens, you better have them.
Yeah, okay.
So who are your other favorite songwriters? We're talking about David Olney, talking about Bob Dylan.
Yeah, well, Christofferson.
Oh, yeah.
Christofferson. Christofferson was sort of my spiritual connection to Nashville, in a sense. When I was a kid, I saw a movie called Convoy, which was in the Soviet Union, where I grew up. You know, you would get not that many American movies, but the ones that would come in, you know, they would be just playing in a movie theater on and on and on. So you wouldn't have that many options to see another movie, especially if you were not in the capital city. So I was in the seaside town in Abkhazia, in a town called Sukhumi. And when it starts raining there, when it's rainy season, it rains every day, so you can't go to the beach.
Oh, wow.
So you can just go to the movie theater and see the same movie over and over and over again. So my uncle and I were just doing that, and it was Convoy playing. And do you know that movie?
I don't.
Oh, it's about the truck driver, and Christofferson plays the truck drivers, and it just becomes into this like rebellion of truck drivers against the system, against cops.
I know of it.
Sam Pack. You should check it out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so. Like, I'm falling, it happens in New Mexico and Texas, Wild West scenery, great big trucks, and country music
isn't that where
soundtrack.
That comes from? I think we got ourselves a convoy. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I was really into it, and I liked the guy. I mean, his character, and he just looked so cool. And I fell in love with him. You know, Rubber Duck was his name. And I looked up, I was, 6, 7, 8 years old. And then I listened to his record, the first record, which has me and Bobby McGee, his version on it, For the Good Times, Help Me Make It Through the Night, all of these Christofferson classics that have been covered by, you know, everyone, and everyone's still playing them. And I just absolutely love the guy. And I listened to all the records, you know, and up until the day he passed away, I was just following him, and I had a amazing honor and pleasure of meeting him a couple of times. And first time it's a good story. Can I say that?
Please.
Yeah, it was by accident, because in New York again, I'm on a subway, you know, and you pick up a Village Voice on the station, and you're looking it up, and you're like, oh, Christofferson and Merle Haggard at the town hall. Oh, what's the date? Oh, shit, it's today. I'm going to a party. I'm not going to go to the party.
No.
I'm going to go to the town hall right now and see if I can find a ticket out, you know. So I go to town hall, and remember town hall?
I remember town hall, yeah.
Like in the middle of Times Square. So instead of going downtown, I just get off the train and go in Times Square. And I go there, and it was 98, and some dude just gave me a ticket. He had a ticket. So I go in to see Chris's first set, and I'm just, my first time seeing my hero, I'm amazed. And I walk out, and Merle Haggard's supposed to follow. And at the time, I didn't know that much of Merle Haggard's music.
Sure.
Later, I learned it. But I knew hits, you know.
Yeah.
But during the break, I went outside to have a cigarette. And, you know, I guess I looked all right. I had a leather jacket on. And this two ladies came and, can I have a cigarette? I said, sure. And then they said, thank you. And they said, you could use this probably, and gave me the backstage pass.
Oh, no way.
So they gave me the backstage pass.
Who
you know,
are these nice people in New York?
But that's how shit was going there. Like that's what I'm saying. I have tons of these stories, and during the intermission, all of a sudden I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go into the backstage through here. Yeah. And I put the sticker on my jacket, and I walked in there. Nobody asked me a question. I'm just right there backstage, standing next to Christofferson and his band. Merle Haggard's going up to play. So I watched the whole Merle set, standing next to Chris and chatting with Steve Bruton, his guitar player, you know, at the time. And Chris was just like somebody I would, he was like, you know, don't ever meet your heroes. People say, no, you.
Yeah, I've heard nothing
pick
but good
the
things.
right heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And
that's
there was
part of
this
it.
kid with one leg there, somebody's child, like,
Yeah.
and he was just hopping around. And Chris kept hugging him.
Aw.
It was just such a warm vibe
Yeah,
everywhere. And we drank beers and we hung out, and I was just amazed. And then Chris grabbed that kid and walked out on the stage and sang "Okie from Muskogee" with
Jeez.
Merle. And I was just right there on the stage, and I was like, and nobody asked me, "Who the fuck are you?" You know, like, because I was
How did
like,
you get
I,
back here?
Nobody asked me. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
So
now I
Christopherson's forever, like,
Yeah.
fantastic writer, like
It's
so many songs, such a great warrior for the right causes, and just brilliant writer. Every lyric. And the last time I saw him was a City Winery in New York in 2016 or something, and I think it was the best show. It was just him and his guitar.
Cool.
He's older, he can barely play, barely sing, but he just transmits the emotion and feeling that just leaves you like, oh my God. You know?
Man,
I love it. I
That
love it.
story, that's a good excuse to start smoking. Like, you're just hanging around giving a couple
I
women
just
some
quit.
cigarettes. Like, damn.
I know. Hey, man, I'm never going to say anything bad about cigarettes because I've made so many friends over cigarettes.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I think that's so much of how I made friends in those early 5-spot days was just like, oh, let me buy you a beer. Let me buy you a beer. Like, let's talk. Let's chat. Let me buy you a beer.
Well, that's normal. I mean, the pubs, that's why they're called the pubs, right? Public house.
public
you know?
house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you go and you just have beers and you talk to people, and, you know, that's how you get on.
Yeah. I think New York did the same thing for me. It gave me that ability to just feel comfortable talking to anybody,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And have the, my dad calls it the gift of gab.
Gift of gab. Sweet gift of gab. That's in the Bob Dylan song.
Oh, is it?
Man of peace. He's got sweet gift of gab. Harmonious tongue. That's oh.
So let's see. You mentioned growing up in the Soviet Union.
Oh boy.
What point did you move here? And
It was-
were you part of were you there in the changeover from Soviet Union to independence?
Yes and no. It's something that's very, very personal, very, very close to my heart, and very important because Georgia is a country. It's an independent place with a different language, very, very old history going back thousands of years. Old Christian nation, became Christian 337. And it was occupied by Russia.
Yeah.
And it's people, you know, when I say that, they say it's still Russia, you know, and I say no. And it's nothing against Russian people or people, but we fought the fight for independence in the late 80s, and I was still a teenager, but in that time and that country, you just grow up really fast. So I was really at the forefront of the demonstrations and everything.
Wow.
When I was 13, 14. And when that there was this massacre that happened when the Russian army, Soviet army, came in and they killed a bunch of people just while they were trying to disperse the demonstration.
Yeah.
It was 1989 in April. And a lot of people who died were young, you know, they were 16, 17, 15. And it was very, very tragic. But that galvanized a whole nation, really. And the whole Eastern European resistance thing, that was one of the first ones, you know, the big events that happened in Georgia that I was also part of. One tiny part of, but I was, you know, there. I was not there that night when the tanks were there.
Yeah.
But I was there in the afternoon, and I went home, and we didn't know when they were going to come, but they came at night. And that started this whole domino effect.
Absolutely.
Berlin Wall fell in November. Our event was in April, and then we got the independence, and which felt really, really great.
Yeah.
We were very happy. We, elected the president, who was the leader of the opposition movement. But as it happens, after that, kind of like same thing that happened in French Revolution, then you don't know what to do with your freedom.
Yeah.
So it turned into a civil war, and just by sheer coincidence and luck, I had an opportunity to go to study abroad right before shit really hit the fan as far as civil war. So I was abroad in Norway when this whole thing happened. So I had to observe it, and really my heart was breaking and watching it. And my parents were also independently, because of the work contracts, temporary contracts in England. My mom was in England, my dad was in the United States, in Jersey. And so we ended up being in these three different parts of the world, while our home country was burning. And we reconvened because people told us, and it was obvious we should wait it out. We reconvened in the United States because still, no matter who anybody says, and especially at that time, the States was the most welcoming and best nation for immigrant or somebody in trouble to. And I'm very grateful. And
about what year is that?
92.
92. Cool.
And so we ended up staying here.
Yeah.
Because we kept waiting. Things were going to get better. Things were going to get better, but they never did. And eventually I ended up going to college, doing all these things.
Yeah.
My parents got jobs. We got green cards, and we just stayed here. But it was never our intention,
Sure.
So it just happened.
Yeah.
And so we're very, very grateful to this day. And like my heart is always like with America, and I wanted things to be good. And I'm a little worried nowadays,
Yeah.
That may be holding on the podcast, but
Oh man, we've bashed Tucker Carlson. We've bashed.
Tucker.
Yeah. We've in the history of this podcast, we don't mince words. So.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
If anybody wants to boycott us, they can go right ahead.
Yeah, good. Fuck them,
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. So what I'm saying is that I'm grateful and I care about America. And I've been American since mid '90s. Then we got green cards and eventually citizenship and everything.
Yeah. And
to see what's going on now, it's very sort of flashbacky, to say the least. I'm being very, very, very polite right now.
Yeah, my
I can get ugly.
My grandfather was the first American born citizen in my family.
Your grandfather?
My grandfather.
Okay.
So I guess my dad is second generation American. I'm third, something like that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's really wild. Like, I think my grandparents on both sides of my family had an idea from, the days in Europe of how fragile democracy was. And, when I was growing up, it just seemed like the United States was this system that had figured it out. It wasn't always perfect, but we had figured it out to some degree. And nowadays, it's like, wait a minute, you're telling me this whole thing only functioned on politeness? On, like, kind of the honor of doing the right thing? And as soon as we got a guy who didn't feel bound or pressed to do the right thing, it's all falling apart? Really? Is that how this works? That if we don't have the guy who really respects the office, it all crumbles?
It's a very good question. I mean, you got me thinking the way you put it. I've been just sort of not silently, but in sort of horror, watching the degradation of everything
Yeah.
since late '90s, 2000, and then when this reality TV started happening.
Yeah.
That's what really got me sort of thinking, worrying. I'm like, this is insane. Like, what are we like? We're
Yeah.
just dumbing everybody down even
Yeah.
more than people were dumb to begin with. You know,
Yeah.
most of them. But it just became normalized, you know, and with the this guy's show who's in charge now, you know,
Yeah.
and all of that stuff, and you keep watching that, and people are addicted to it, and it does the trick on you, you know.
Yeah.
On most people who are not aware of it or who don't
Yeah.
try to counteract it in some way.
Yeah.
So the dumb becomes normalized.
Yeah. It's almost,
And I'm not judging anybody, but I'm just sort of observing, you
Yeah.
know. So I'm not surprised at what's happening. I'm a little more horrified,
Yeah.
but it's
You know,
not that surprising.
It almost felt to me, and I was very young at the time, but it almost felt to me like Kurt Cobain died.
Kurt Cobain died.
Kurt Cobain died, and the entire entertainment industry said, well, geez, we spent so much time and money propping this great artist up, and he just goes and kills himself. So fuck it. Let's just make shit as dumb as possible. Let's make people stupid. Let's make the entertainment smaller and smaller minded until we don't even have to try anymore.
Interesting take. I never connected that.
I don't know. After
There may be something to
in the
that.
post-Nirvana world, it felt like quality of mass entertainment took this amazing nosedive that it's never really come back from. You know, there's so much great art out there now, but we're responsible for finding it for ourselves. You know?
Dude, I think you have a very good point. I never thought about that. Because I like the post-Nirvana world.
Yeah,
That's
man.
almost the title.
Dude, my life is pre and post Nirvana.
Okay.
Like that's how that works
All
for
right,
me.
all right. I like that. That's interesting because who else? Yeah, I mean, they really kind of were American late bloom of punk. You know?
Yeah.
Like the British had Clash and
Yeah.
Sex Pistols, but the American punk really, I mean,
I don't think after the grunge movement,
had anything any meaning?
no, nothing.
Not
really. Like,
I'm trying to well, not in rock. I mean, hip hop things.
sure,
of course, yeah.
sure. But I mean, even the best hip hop stuff was happening at the same time as Nirvana.
You may be right.
You know,
yeah.
the best, to my opinion, the best era of hip hop is coinciding with Nirvana. It's coinciding with songwritery bands like those first couple of records by the Counting Crows. I feel like were just post Nirvana, and then
It's around the same time.
yeah, around the same time. I bet you August and Everything After.
Yeah.
that probably came out around
But
94,
Nirvana-
95.
It was just so powerful. That
Yeah.
was the one band. Like I was talking earlier about Beatles and Hendrix and
Yeah.
Dylan, but the people who were my contemporaries who
Yeah.
really hit me hard
Yeah.
were Nirvana, and later it was Amy Winehouse.
Oh, cool.
And apart from those two, like I've been in other time zones, you know?
Yeah.
Music wise. Like
Yeah.
those were the artists that were like contemporary. Like
Yeah.
at the time in the 90s, Nirvana was way more I'm not trying to take it away anything from other bands. They were obviously brilliant players and
Yeah.
wonderful, but it was powerful. There was
Yeah.
something about it, right?
And for all
And
for all intents and purposes, Kurt Cobain was a huge pop star, whether he wanted to be or not. He was a huge pop star.
Well, he became a pop star, but he never felt like a pop star.
No,
to me.
no.
Yeah, and maybe
But-
that's why he.
And since him, I can't think of a single enormous pop star like that who was actually quite a brilliant songwriter, quite a brilliant musician, quite a deep thinker. Like, it seems like they've just sold us pretty faces and great hooks ever since.
As far as mass things, but we
Yes,
all
yes.
know that it's like right around the corner.
Exactly.
Somebody's writing great songs,
Totally,
right? We know that.
I know that drives
Yeah.
me nuts. Whenever somebody says like, "Oh, there's just no good music
No,
anymore," are
it's
you
more than
kidding?
enough. Yeah. You
We're
just don't.
drowning
Yeah,
in good
we're
music.
talking about the mainstream.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, to me, Amy was like incredible, like unbelievable.
Her music, I never
What
really
a
got into it.
tragedy! Like, no,
Yeah,
dude.
certainly.
Like, again, another story. Like, not as quite, but like, I went to Highline Ballroom and I wanted to see her show. I didn't have a ticket; it was sold out, and the bouncer just let me in.
What is going on? Man, you lived in a completely different New York than me.
Yeah, like the guy was just like, "All right, dude, you can go in." And I went in and I saw her at the Highline, and I was in tears.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was seeing like Janis Joplin, like
Yeah,
it was
yeah, yeah.
Nirvana. The first thing I thought was Nirvana actually, because I knew she was completely self-destructing herself, and it was
Yeah.
2007, so it was right before she started falling apart. But
Yeah,
she
yeah.
was still like fucked up, but like fucked up enough. Like,
fucked up in
Right,
the-
right amount of fucked up to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
killing, you know.
Yeah.
And it's really sad, but it was like incredible. Like I was like, I'm witnessing something special.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. And her lyrics, like, it was very weird, that record. I mean, I don't know if I'm comparing this to Nirvana. I'm not impact-wise.
Oh,
on
yeah,
me,
yeah.
I'm trying.
For you personally. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, musically, because I thought, what a great juxtaposition, because her lyrics are so personal, dirty, punky, nasty.
yeah.
And the music is so jazzy and kind of like,
Yeah.
like really groovy, and but she's nasty, she's
Yeah.
singing her heart out, and live it was just like, whoa. She had this dancers doing this thing, so I was like, get this guys away, like it drove me crazy. Like it was just like they were doing all these like things. I'm like, I thought it was cheesy as fuck.
Get them off stage. You just do
Yeah,
your
because
thing.
she was like, I wanted to run and be like, Amy, I love you.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
don't do whatever. Like, don't
Yeah,
kill
yeah.
yourself,
For real.
Like, it was that powerful,
Yeah.
I never got to see Kurt, but...
No, me neither. Yeah. There's a band that came around in the late aughts. Maybe it's more like 2010, 2011. I don't remember what the exact date on it is, but they never got super famous. But it was the first time I felt connected to music in the same way that I felt connected to Nirvana as a teenager. It's a band from Indianapolis called Margot and the Nuclear So-and-Sos.
Never heard of them.
Man,
I should hear of them.
yeah, they're good. They're not really around anymore. The lead singer still does stuff under his own name, and I mean, great songwriter. But I had gone to music college and came out just defeated and cynical. Where all of a sudden, when you're growing up, music really, all of it has this magic to it, where you're like, the first time you hear it, when you're, because I'm not a prodigy, I don't have perfect pitch, none of that stuff.
Sound like one.
Yeah. So when I was like 10 years old, I would listen to something and just be like, how the hell did they make that? How did they come up with that? Like, and I didn't have the ears. I never had the natural ear to be like, oh yeah, it just goes like this, So, music was, just this magical ability to spill grief out of speakers when I was a kid. And, I was a very depressed, angry kid. For some reason, I had, wonderful parents, but, just born with this chronic depression problem. And so anything that could really express that grief, anything that could really communicate what I was feeling back to me felt like magic. And then you go to music school and you come out and you're like, oh, that's the 5 chord. Oh, that's the 1 chord. Oh, he's playing the pentatonic scale. And it's just like, why did I ruin this for myself? Why do I hate everything? Why does this thing that I love so much do nothing for me now?
You had that moment?
I had that moment. And then I heard this band, Margot and the Nuclear So-and-Sos, and it brought me back. It brought me back from the brink of being like, man, maybe I'll use my degree to get, maybe I'll become a paralegal or something.
Oh,
You know?
I did that job.
Yeah. It was a good
horrible.
job. Oh, no, is it? They make a good salary, right? Well, I heard this band, and all of a sudden I was like, holy shit, music is awesome again. And their stuff, like their first 3 records, really kind of put me back in that guitar player seat again, that songwriter seat again, where I was like, man, music is powerful. Because for a while, it really wasn't. And I was feeling so...
How long did that period last when you were just...
Probably 3 years.
That long?
Yeah. Probably...
Wow, man.
2006 to 2009.
And you weren't playing or anything?
I was. That's the thing. Is I was playing a ton.
Oh.
But I just felt really numb about it.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. Just uninspired, unmoved.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. I never had that. Because I think I was always learning and trying to catch up, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because I never went to school or for music. I was never either not good. Well, my life just, there were a lot of life things happening.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that. It's interesting to go through that, man.
Yeah. It's like, and then when you go through that, you come out the other side of it and you feel exactly like you were just saying. All of a sudden it feels like, oh shit, I got to catch back up.
Yeah.
Like there was 3 years there where I really didn't care. So I wasn't working on new stuff. I wasn't learning this solo or that song. I was just doing whatever I had to do to get the gig, play the gig, make the money.
Did you want to listen to music? Were you interested in it? Like, were you like still emotionally getting the same?
I don't think I was. I don't think I was having a big and emotional effect for music.
Like if you listened to Coltrane or something, like it wasn't, or something new, like you weren't discovering it. It wasn't hitting you.
I don't think so. I think I had a long.
You really took a dive.
Yeah, man. I think. Well, it's overexposure, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, if you go and live in Colombia for 10 years, women don't look as good after a while because you just get overexposed to...
Did you do that too?
No, I wish. That was actually, putting it out there into... I'm doing the secret, man.
Okay.
I'm manifesting a few years in Colombia where I'm chasing beautiful women around and playing bossa nova.
Beautiful,
I
man.
mean, come on, right?
Yeah.
What could be better?
I'm in.
What? Yeah, this has been fun.
Wow, yeah, keep going or stop
Or whatever.
whatever. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. We should have some, maybe a little.
Oh yeah, buddy.
It's Christmas, right?
For all you viewers, it's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Yeah.
Green River, Kentucky, straight bourbon. It's funny, when I was living in Norway. I was 15, 16 years old, and my host father, I was living in a family, he would go abroad to Spain or something and get... liquor is very expensive in Norway.
Really?
Well, it was, and it still is. And we all were buying moonshine, kind of like drugs. We knew somebody who was making moonshine.
Yeah.
And just get a bunch of moonshine in plastic bottles and would mix it with coffee. Hot coffee. I mean, that's a speedball.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah, that's a speedball. Gets you up all night. Yeah.
Norwegian Four Loko.
Oh, fuck, yeah. Powerful. But my father, who was, my host father, he went out and, duty free, whatever, and he brought a handle of wild turkey. And he's like, son, this is wild turkey. This is the best bourbon in the world. And he poured me some and just sip slow and enjoy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, what is this? Then I moved to the States and I'm like, I only drink wild turkey. And I'm 16 years old, in high school. And everyone's like, what?
Yeah, what?
I'm like, no, it's the world's best bourbon.
They're like,
no,
bourbon?
it's not.
Yeah, no, it's not. And bourbon.
Like Long Island, like this kid. And so in high school, kids named me Bourbon. So they kept calling me, hey, Bourbon. Yeah,
All
you
right.
want to play soccer, Bourbon? You know, I'm like, okay, I'll take that.
I like a teenager with hard opinions about liquor.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
No, I only drink Wild Turkey. It's the best bourbon in the world.
Man, when I was 14, I had my first experiences with alcohol, and we were scumbag Massachusetts kids. So it was always like bribing the homeless guy to go into the liquor store and buy you. And I mean, to our credit, we were very efficient. We would get Bacardi 151.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Awful.
Call the cops.
Awful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're 15 and you can't run out of beer and then go buy more beer, 151 is very cost effective and portable for the amount of alcohol contained.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And
It's fire.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you put it on fire.
One of my first experiences drinking was Bacardi 151 and orange juice, which it's amazing I still have an esophagus. And man, it does.
What kind of diarrhea did you have?
Oh no! It didn't get all the way through, man. I just vomited it up, and that hurts.
Orange juice, yeah. That's
Yeah.
brutal.
It's just acid upon acid.
That's no good.
Yeah, and then we were.
But it does the job.
Oh yeah, we were fucked up.
Yeah.
we were 15 years old and out of our minds.
Excellent.
Yeah. And then we had the wise idea. We should get ice cream. That'll cool the fire a little bit. Also doesn't taste good coming up, especially with the orange juice.
Oh shit.
Yeah. If I could give any advice to 15-year-old kids,
Don't drink.
oh no,
Ice cream and
no,
orange juice.
just plan your vomit, like curate your vomit,
Well-
so that it'll be nice coming up, because it doesn't have to be that bad. It's never going to be fun to puke up booze, but it doesn't have to be
Not a-
151 orange juice and soft serve ice cream.
I have to say, and this is not to encourage anybody.
No,
if
no,
anybody underage is
we don't
listening,
condone
please
this
don't
behavior.
listen to me. But growing up in Europe and sort of having this more of a drinking culture that
Yes.
was not as forbidden,
Yes.
I had not that many accidents when moving to States. Like I had one with gin in college. It was terrible. But apart from that, like I knew how to write it,
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of okay with it,
Yeah.
know. It doesn't need to be. I don't need to get
Yeah, I grew up in
to
that
the point where.
Puritan
you have to think about.
Massachusetts.
Where
like-
were you in Massachusetts?
My family is from West Springfield, where the Big E is.
I went to Amherst.
Amherst is so much better. It's only like 20 minutes up the road. It's so much
Yeah.
better. West Springfield is just a lot of repressed Irish people trying not to have feelings.
I went to Springfield for a couple of Bob Dylan shows
Okay.
at the time in the 90s because he would play those. And then I went there a few times to do some filming because we were doing college films. So I explored Springfield and it was pretty frightening.
Yes.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was pretty frightening,
And West Springfield, it's a separate town, and well, it's a city now, but it was a town then. And it was just kind of this boring, like, well, we all have green lawns sort of vibe where, yeah. I definitely grew up in that. Well, if they're talking about sex on TV, we're going to change the channel. If they're drinking, we're not going to watch that. Nobody drinks, nobody has sex. Everybody is just a good Irish boy and goes to church.
Here's a question and slash statement. I think it's more of a question than a statement because after I moved down south, and because we started playing gigs on the road in
Sure.
the area, Anna and I, and we started exploring so much more of the country. Because, you know, when you live in New York City, everybody comes to you. You don't have to go
Yeah,
anywhere.
that's right. That's right.
So, and this has been very educational and interesting to be driving out in either direction, wherever you get a gig, wherever you get a gig, you know.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of poverty and a lot of strange things that in Mississippi, Eastern Tennessee, Kentucky, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh fuck, man, that's rough out there. And but then we went back up to Massachusetts and upstate New York, places where I'd never gone really when I lived up there because it was in New York. And it's just as fucked up there.
Oh yeah.
Like, where were we just recently? In a nice place, North Adams.
Oh yeah.
Williams, you know, college.
Yeah.
It's good. But 20 minutes out there when you're driving, you're like, man, this is just weird here, man.
Well,
this
that's
is like
the
this
epicenter.
feels like dangerous and strange.
Yeah.
And like I don't want to stop here necessarily for a piss at the gas station,
Yeah.
you know?
That's
Like,
the epicenter of the opioid epidemic. Is bullshit Western Massachusetts.
So the whole thing that South is more fucked up or Midwest is not really true because it's the cities that are like, if you're out of the city anywhere in the country, it can be just as fucked up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One of the most stunning experiences my first time traveling, funny tie back to Nirvana. I get to go to Seattle for the first time. I was probably 21, 22. And I was like, oh, we gotta go to Aberdeen. It's not that far up the road, and that's where Kurt Cobain's from. We gotta go to Aberdeen, Washington, and just be there for a second. Just, you know, kind of be in the church of Kurt Cobain. And that was a kind of poverty that, and I hadn't been to the South yet.
In Washington?
In Aberdeen, Washington.
State.
That, yes.
I've never been there.
That was a kind of poverty that I had never seen before.
Really?
Yes.
I've never been there.
Yeah. I don't know what it's like now. This is going back a lot of years because it's going back a minimum of 18 years. But so much of the town was these extraordinary, something you'd think of as existing in New Orleans, these extraordinarily small houses with like wood shingle exteriors and kind of what we'd consider now to be a fashionable tiny home, but it obviously was, you know, not curated. It was built for somebody who was very impoverished. And that was so much of that community, and there were so many shut down businesses. It was, God, that would have been, let's see, that would have been like 2004, 2005, 2006, somewhere in there, that I had gone to Aberdeen, and I was just floored by how desperate and desolate it was.
Yeah, man.
And that's not how you think of Washington State, of course.
That's what the thing is, because I think in that sense, South gets maybe a little bit of a bad reputation.
Well, they did start a civil war, you know.
Well, I mean, you know.
There is that.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying that's another podcast we can discuss that. But I agree. But as far as the poverty and like people, like, I just, because I was in such a nicer part of Massachusetts for 4 years, I never really went out there.
Yeah.
But now that I did, you know, I saw that. I'm like, that's just as screwed up, you know, in New York. Like,
and
so.
The
Upstate.
opioid epidemic,
It's such a real thing.
it shows us that nobody's immune from shit. Like,
No.
that area of Massachusetts when I was growing up was like idyllic. Like Greenfield, Massachusetts
I've been to Greenfield.
was this beautiful, quaint downtown where it's Pleasantville. Mm-hmm. You know, you walk in and say, wow, everything's okay. There's the clock up on the tower there.
Yep.
You know, everybody's just doing their job and being good Americans and, you know, buying meat at the butcher shop and bringing home the bacon and having a nice breakfast every day, right? And now it's the land of used needles. It's the land of, you know, homeless former upper class white people.
It's horrible, man.
It's horrible.
It's breaking my. The opioid thing is real, man.
Yeah.
I had so many. I had friends, but I also, more importantly, I had my friends' kids die of opioid, of fentanyl overdoses and things like that, because they don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah.
You know, they were buying this stuff in New York City. They don't know.
Yeah.
And one line and they're gone.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, man, my guy my age, docked, you know, like, yeah, I would fool around, you know, the cocaine or something back in the day, but he OD'd. He just got a bad batch, you know.
Yeah.
In Albany.
Albany, yes. Yeah. So close to all these neighborhoods we're talking about. Albany is
terrifying.
Yeah.
Terrifying. I mean, the last person I would think this would happen to.
Yeah. And
you know,
that's really the crux of the opioid epidemic is so many of the people who died or end up in dire straits are the last people you'd expect.
Yeah.
You know, people that were upstanding citizens, successful businessmen, all this, or businesswomen, whatever, you know, were just struck down by this. Yeah.
That's a real thing. And God keep us.
Man, you know? the last time I did coke, and I've only done it a few times in my life. The last time I did it, I don't know what the hell it was laced with, but it was bad news. I never touched the stuff since.
No.
I was, you know, sometimes you're drunk and you want to pop up a little bit. Somebody offered me something, took the tiniest little key hit, and all of a sudden I'm like this.
Hey, man, espresso does the trick.
I know. Yeah, that's religion
and
from now on.
And good cocaine in the hands of a gentleman is just a cappuccino.
Yeah. Man, I remember having that thought that it's probably 12 steps to the door, 3 steps down, and another 5 steps to my Uber. And I don't know if I can do it.
That's no good. That's supposed to be the other way around.
Exactly. It's supposed to be like, oh, I bet I could run to my Uber in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I had good times with that in Costa Rica and Rio in like late 90s because it was a very pure thing.
Yeah.
And it was like espresso. And then I realized that it just feels like espresso. It's just, so I'm never going to touch it again ever in my life, you know?
Yeah.
I don't need this. It's too risky and not necessary, you know? This is just fine bourbon, American bourbon, Green River.
Green River from Kentucky.
Beautiful.
These should sponsor us. We talk about only PG-rated things. Yeah.
Fun. You want to talk about bourbon?
We can talk about bourbon.
Dude, when I moved...
Let's keep these people here all night.
Oh, well, I'll cut out whenever you want. But I'm just saying that one of the jobs that I had when I was here, you know, when I moved... I was doing beer. What do you call it? The beer rep for Jackalope.
Yeah.
Jackalope.
Oh man, Jackalope.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was doing that, and they would send me to. That was, you know, before the pandemic, before that.
Sure.
They would send me to different liquor stores, right? And they set me up there, and I'm just seeing this wall of bourbons and whiskeys, and the dude and couple of places would be like, oh, dude, you can, you know, just try whatever you want to do. I'm like, you don't know what you're like. You didn't just say that,
you
but
know
you did just say that. So I would try that, you know, and without a fail, all the expensive sort of hipstery bourbons from Colorado or whatever other states.
Yeah.
They would never be as good as the shit from Kentucky or Tennessee.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. Water? I don't know. Like literally, like it would be like $100, some micro fucking distillery somewhere, Idaho. But I'm like, no, this tastes like shit. I don't care.
Yeah.
gimme, Kentucky, fine. It's fantastic.
Well, even Tennessee
Tennessee's great.
Tennessee whiskey was not great for a really long time. And then I forget the name. I think her first name was Nicole. She got hired as a master distiller at Dickel.
Dickel's been great.
And all of a sudden, Dickel was
love Dickel.
awesome.
I love
They had
Dickel.
that Bottled and Bond series. They still have it. But the very first run of that, I was just blown away. Because Tennessee whiskey is usually not my jam. But
Kentucky's better, but Tennessee's all right, man. Like,
Yeah.
Dickel's
That Dickel
much better than Jack Daniels. Yeah.
that Bottled and Bond was the first time I was ever like, damn, Tennessee whiskey has a fighting chance, you know?
It sure does. How long have we been talking?
I don't know. Jason, how long have we been talking?
What do we do? You guys want to join us? Should we have a jam? Or like, what do we do? Can I take a piss?
No, you can't take a piss while
I'm still
that's the rule.
Keep
Right.
joking.
You just gotta hold on.
Okay. I'll do anything, man.
no,
Anything
I-
for the sake of art.
Come to me when darkness falls. Darkness falling like rain. I have no power left in my bones, but I'll face it once again. Once I was so young and strong, I could handle what came. Now I'm trying just to get along. My heart is weary in pain. Is my work down here? Was it in vain? Or is there something left to do? I'll leave it up to you. I'll leave it up to you. Once I had a golden plan, vision crystal clear. Somehow I went astray. I ended up right here. I wouldn't change a single thing, and I couldn't if I tried. Strange beauty I've come to know just might have passed me by. Now I'm lost again somehow. I don't know what to do. I'll leave it up to you. I'll leave it up to you. When to be stubborn, when to lay down, when to rage against the night, when to surrender, to sleep or wake like a child and stare into the light. When to hold back those tears, when to look up at the stars, and when to keep on going straight through. You know I'm traveling alone. I need to feel your presence somehow and face the great unknown. I'm at the crossroads where I've always been. Strangers are passing me by. I don't reach out, but neither do they. I just look for the love in their eyes. I don't know which way to go. Then I guess I never knew. I'll leave it up to you. 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 I fucked up the words as I keep making them up because I'm still writing it, but I don't know. If you think it's workable, whatever you want to do.
That was
Yeah, I'm not gonna do another one.
yeah.
Good enough?
You're good.
Can